The corporate world has been running in a certain way for decades and possibly a century. All of a sudden, COVID-19 pandemic struck the world. 2 years later, things seem to be pretty much getting back to normal in significant parts of the world. Corporate leaders rightfully expected people to come back to offices, but a significant number of people felt with things being run super from home in the earlier part of the pandemic, they wanted to work from home. Leaders adapted to this new ways of working, and there were different kind of models that came in. Some organizations felt, hey, things were running so well during the pandemic, so they decided 70, 80, possibly 100% of our staff will work from home. Some other organizations on the other side decided, no, for maintaining our culture, heritage, innovation, it's important for people to work from the offices, so they ensured people work from the office. And some organizations chose the hybrid model in which sometimes people work from the offices and sometimes they work from home. Unfortunately, two completely unrelated trends started showing up. A significant number of people started resigning from the organization in the great attrition or resignation wave. And then now a new trend started showing up. Quiet quitting, where people do just about the minimum, follow a checkbox kind of culture, frustrating the leaders. What's the link between a pandemic, a very well-running corporate model, and all these resignations and quiet quitting? What's at play here? To understand this, we can look at nature to get some cues from there. Let's look at one class of animals in the nature, amphibians. Amphibians are animals that spend some time on land and some time in the water. Let's take frogs. What decides how much time a frog spends in the water or land? It's not nature that decides. Nature merely controls the environment and the ecosystem, like the temperature and such other factors, and lets the frog decide for itself. Will it be on land or will it be on water? For example, when the temperature goes high, the frog goes into the water. When it's time for eating its food, it comes on land, and so on. Nature never suggests the model. Leaders in the corporate world can get excellent cues from nature. Of course, we are not dealing with frogs. We are dealing with humans that are extremely intentional in their thought process, higher order human beings, but the principles effectively stay exactly the same. So what exactly is this environment and ecosystem in the corporate world? Research indicates that there are 5 important factors that play a key role in environment and ecosystem. Purpose, which is why we do what we do. Meaning, which is about feeling absorbed in what we're doing and feeling a sense of fulfillment. Competence, which is skills required to perform a job. Positive relationships, which is about the kind of relationships that we build when we are there at work. And autonomy, which is a sense of control over our various aspects of life. Were these factors not there pre-pandemic? Well, they very much were there. It's just that in the hustle bustle of life, these factors did not get the degree of importance that they were supposed to. So what about these factors? Research shows that when managers or leaders of organizations were asked to rate themselves on these factors, and from the same organizations, frontline workers or foot soldiers or individual contributors were asked to rate themselves, this is how the graph showed up. Look at the significant difference on every single parameter between leaders and the individuals in their own teams. Especially look at meaning, where employees are not able to see meaning in the work they're doing. What can leaders do to influence these parameters? Let's start with purpose. Purpose is the reason why we do what we do. Let's take this example. Why am I doing this talk? Because it is related to neurosciences, which is my area of research. Why is this my area of research? Because I was always interested in this area. Why was I interested in this area? Because it is related to functioning of the human brain. Why is the functioning of the brain important to me? Because a lot of people have a physical brain, but the brain doesn't come with a guidebook. They don't know how to use it, and they're not able to reach their potential because of it. Why is people's potential important to me? Because one of my goals in life is to help people reach their potential by using the brain well. So we started with the why I'm delivering this talk, went 6 levels down to find exactly how that links to why I exist. When purpose is linked, you need one reason to do a task, why I need to deliver the talk. You have thousands of excuses to not do it, but why trumps all of those things and makes it worthwhile doing a task. If there's no alignment of purpose, the internal inspiration takes a back seat, and now only extrinsic factors play an extremely important role. I am doing this work because I'll get this job title, potentially that kind of position, and so on. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong in vying for a particular job title or being compensated fairly. But if that's the only thing that's the motivation, then the smallest increase in compensation provided by another organization or a title is enough to shake the foundation of the building. This creates a lot of challenges and leads to a lot of employee disenchantment. If there's no alignment of purpose, then fulfillment or the second foundation, meaning, gets lost. Purpose and meaning are the foundation of employee satisfaction. Let's look at the third factor. Autonomy is a sense of control over life, different aspects of life. So people, do they not have this kind of control? Let's look at the various aspects. People get up in the morning, take a commute. Now, it's safe to conclude that commute is not exactly the world's most exciting thing for most people. Then they reach the offices, and then potentially they sit at a workplace. What decides where people sit? It depends on the function that they are a part of, and then they sit with other people in that particular function. But is everyone the same in a particular function? Introverts are those who like quiet corners where they can sit focused and do their work. Extroverts, on the contrary, love being the center of attention and like to sit with the people. And introverts and extroverts are spread across every single function, whether it is HR, operations, or any other. Painting all of the people in a particular function with one brush, with no regard to individual differences between them, has a tremendous impact on loss of autonomy of one category of people. And I'm only talking about one type of diversity. All right, then they come to the offices, and then what happens? They are assigned work. Look at the type of work. People are usually told, please do this, please do that, please do it like this. It's about what to do, how to do. There is not even a purpose alignment, leading to further loss of autonomy. And then the individuals probably are sitting, working all around, etc. Who is the center of attention in the office? Possibly the leader, because that leader possibly is having his own office and struts around. The same individual, when they go back home, they are the center of attention at home. Is it any surprise that people want to stay merely at home and not come to the offices? Let's look at the fourth factor. The fourth factor is about having positive relationships. Now, we all know that man is a social animal, but there's a dangerous generalization which happens, as if all human beings are same and like to build the same type of relationships. Yes, man is a social animal, but not everyone builds the same type of relationships. Some people build a large number of very shallow relationships. Some people build very deep relationships with just a few people. Some people build agenda-driven relationships like mentors, coaches, friends, personal. Some build relationships of other types. Not providing different type of fora has a severe impact on negating positive relationships and making people feel disenchanted in an organization. For example, let's have a Friday get-together. All people will possibly go to a pub and have drinks. Might be suitable positive relationship for one type of people, puts off the others actually. The last factor which is very important is related to competence. It's about having the right kind of skills to do a particular work. Now, competence is not the same as we spend these kinds of trainings, we provide these kinds of coaching to people. That is very important. What's more important is trainings, coachings, mentorship in line with purpose. If there's no alignment of purpose, yes, training will accelerate people along a ladder, but the ladder could potentially be leaning against the wrong wall. People end up meeting a wrong goal, further disenchanting them. This then explains why there's such a big gap between managers as well as foot soldiers who see significant gap on each of these factors. So what does leadership look like in the post-pandemic world? What can leaders do about each of these factors? Let's start with the first and the foundation, which is the why. It's a little bit more deep-rooted, that links to the internal of a person so that there is a connect. And this is an evolving line because people's why keeps changing periodically. Leaders need to be trained in helping their people to uncover the why. This is a structured exercise where multi-level drill down of whys need to be done in order to be able to help people uncover their why. It's when people know the why that then discussion can happen on what is to be done, and then the how of the work has to be left completely to people. They will figure out how to do it. The new paradigm of leadership is uncovering the why, co-creating the what, and leaving the how completely to people. Interviews that are happening right now tend to focus on skill fitment, culture fitment. A probably equally important angle to look at is purpose fitment. Is there an alignment between the incoming talent and what the organization is wanting to do? Companies spend a lot of budget on making very aspirational statements on why they exist. This is important, but what's equally important that organizations need to focus on is how this why links to how people's why exist. If you merely have a very aspirational why for a company, people will be impressed, but they will not be able to express how their why links to the organization. If the why purpose alignment is in place, then it is safe to conclude that people will start feeling fulfilled at work and they'll start finding meaning at work. Now, the foundation of the building is strong. Let's look at the third parameter, which is building positive relationships. Now, here, like I said at the beginning, it's important to remember that no two human beings like to build the same type of relationship. Ability to differentiate between individuals and providing a plethora of fora to allow people to build the right kind of positive social relationships is important. This could be in an outing or trekking, all kinds of events, than a one-size-fits-all event in the office or a one-size-fits-all party. Let's now look at the fourth factor, which is competence. Now, competence, like I said, is about training, but it's about training aligned to purpose. Leaders need to learn the art of understanding on what scale people are. Typically, all people belong, say, somewhere on a 3-stage continuum. When they are learning something in line with their purpose, that's called a growth stage. People at this time talk about possibilities, potential, future. They are absolutely excited and inspired. People who are not learning anymore are using past knowledge are then get into a next stage called maintenance stage. At this stage, people are merely using what they learned prior and they'll be focusing on status quo all the time. This is already a dangerous stage, and if this is not arrested, people then move to the last stage, which is the degradation stage. At this stage, people are talking negative, they are talking always about the past, and the culture gets toxic. Leaders need to be trained in the art of finding out what stage people are at and quickly bringing them back to the growth stage by aligning the whys of the people. Organizations need to focus not just on how much training dollars per quarter is spent per employee, but on how many purpose fits exist in the organization. What percentage of the organization have a fitment? This is as important a metric as the training dollars. This indicates whether the amount is being spent correctly or not. Let's look at the last factor. Now, we can't eliminate commutes altogether, but this can be made less painful, potentially providing an opportunity to separate personal life from professional life. And here, commutes play a powerful role. Allowing people to be able to completely dealing from work, maybe taking a break, talking to their loved ones, relaxing completely, listening to a podcast. This can reduce the sting from commutes. Once in the office, allowing people to sit what works best and what gets the best out of them is important. Of course, we need to sit with the teams so that there's team building, but that's not the same as permanently being sitting along with the particular team. The pandemic has provided an absolutely wonderful opportunity to relook at the offices itself. Before the pandemic, office was a place where people went to do the work. After the pandemic, leaders need to recognize that office is a place where work is not done. Office is a place where people go to experience the environment and ecosystem, to reconnect with their why, to experience the sense of autonomy, to understand their competence and figure out how it aligns with the purpose, to build the right kind of social relationship. All this translates to meaning, to get meaning in what they are doing. And then the work can be done anywhere. If office is the right place, so be it actually. The pandemic has provided a once in a lifetime opportunity for leaders to recognize that their role now is about influencing the environment and the ecosystem and letting their people experience this. This experience is something that you can't get at homes. You get it only in the offices. I wanted to thank DLC for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.